Happy October, creepy peeps. If you need some inspiration for your October watch list or TBR, I thought I would share my very ambitious plans for spooky season. And I'm really only doing this video because I could not form any thoughts on Hold Your Breath, which is what I intended to review in place of this video, but it was really just forgettable. And that's all I have to say about that movie. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my super duper ambitious reading list. There have been a lot of new releases that I'm excited about and some other books that I just plucked from my physical TBR that seemed like they would be a good fit for October, you know? And that's my argument that nobody asked for having way too many physical books that you haven't read. Like, I can literally just go shopping for books whenever from my TBR shelves. And I know that isn't the strongest argument because I work in a bookstore. I can literally go shopping for books anytime. Anyways, that's my soapbox. First up is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Technically, I started this one already at the end of September. I started it when Hurricane Helene grazed past us. We had no work that day and I read like the first 100 pages or so. I'm almost 200 pages in now, so I've gotten a little bit further. But I don't think I need to intro this one. I feel like pretty much everybody is familiar with this story, whether it's because you read the book or you've seen the movie slash miniseries. I don't really know what to call it. I've heard a lot of praise for this, so I'm gonna try it, see how it is. And then I will have something to compare the new movie to. Next is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. This is an adult sapphic, like dark academia fantasy story. So we're following a folklorist and her academic rival who have to team up to solve the mysterious murder of their mentor. For one thing, the cover is gorgeous. I mean, just look at it. Look at it. It's beautiful. And after reading An Education in Malice at the beginning of the year, I've discovered that something that I am really into is sapphic academic rivals to lovers. Like, and I know that's a little niche, but whatever, I guess that's a niche thing that I'm into now. So super excited about this. Next one I hope to get to in October is Grey Dog by Elliot Gish. So this follows an amateur naturalist who takes up a new teaching position in a new town, and her dark past follows her. Weird things start to happen that she is attributing to a being that she calls Grey Dog. This one was recommended to me because it is sapphic and is like about female rage. And hey, I'll consider anything that's about feminine rage. And I'm feeling very into folk horror at the moment. If you watched my subgenre ranking video, you'll know that it's one of my all-time favorite subgenres ever. And this time of year, spooky season, always feels very folk horror appropriate. So, and I feel like this book is gonna satisfy that feeling. Then I'm hopefully going to have a little Rachel Harrison double feature moment with first Black Sheep, which I will definitely finish because this is our Creepy Book Club pick for October. So if I finish nothing else on this TBR, Black Sheep is getting read. And if you didn't know, I have a horror book club, Creepy Book Club. We meet once a month in a live stream to talk about a horror or horror adjacent book with a focus on reading from diverse authors. Link is in the description if you want to know more. So the story of Black Sheep follows a cynical 20-something that gets a mysterious invitation to return home to her like staunchly religious family that has like exiled her pretty much, or excommunicated her because her cousin, I think, is getting married. And religious slash generational trauma is the like unofficial theme of Creepy Book Club, because we always seem to find those types of books unintentionally. So I feel like this is going to be perfect for that. So that one's definitely getting read. I'm also hoping to get to Rachel Harrison's brand new book that came out this past month actually, So Thirsty. And this follows two friends that take a girls' trip when something happens that changes their lives for the rest of eternity. I think you're probably picking up what I'm putting down, especially with the title, what this is about. I was listening to Books in the Freezer recently, which is my favorite horror book podcast, by the way. Not sponsored, just a fan. And Rachel Harrison was on a recent episode talking about So Thirsty, and it sounded super fun. I've read Cackle by Rachel Harrison, and I loved that book so much. I loved how it tackled like feminine friendships and all of the multi-layered nuances that come with feminine friendships. And So Thirsty seems like it'll be another great one for that theme, so I'm excited about this. And it's not just folk horror that I have on the brain recently. Clearly it's a vampire thing going on with me too right now. I told you, vampires are having to come back, because the next book on my very hopeful TBR is Lucy Undying by Kirsten White. And as you can probably guess from the title of this is kind of like a Dracula telling sort of spin-off following Lucy Westenra, which if you've read or seen Dracula, you know she's one of the first victims of Dracula in the story. In this particular story, we're following Lucy. She's trying to live her own immortal life. She meets a woman who she starts to build a relationship with, and then Dracula comes back into the picture and kind of threatens the happiness that she's trying to foster for herself. Gay vampires will always have a special place in my heart, so I'm always going to gravitate towards those stories. And this cover is also gorgeous. I'm gonna try to get it to focus so you can see the details, like the wolves in her hair. Fucking gorgeous. I could stare at this cover all day. I love it so much. And then the last book on my list, which is also kind of a priority because I made a kind of like bookish resolution at the beginning of this year to read more nonfiction. And I've definitely already succeeded. Like, even if I don't read any other nonfiction this year, the amount I've read in 2024 is more than I've read recreationally, so like not school required, in my entire life. So no matter what, I've won. I've succeeded my resolution, but I've gotten into it now. Like I've been picking good nonfiction books for me, like ones that I really like or am interested in. So I got like my physical nonfiction TBR is healthy right now, is growing, is thriving. So I was going through that physical TBR and I decided to finally read The Haunting of Alma Fielding. It had really, really rave reviews. It's won awards. So I figured this one should be good. It's a narrative nonfiction about obviously a true story, who is experiencing a possible haunting in her home. People come to investigate, particularly this Hungarian paranormal investigator. And that investigator finds way more than they bargained for. I've heard this is super scary, so I'm really excited. And hopefully it's even more so because it's a true story, so. Okay, so now on to the movies, my October watch list. I made this one a combination of like some rewatches that I just have a hankering to rewatch again all of a sudden, and of course some new horror movies that have come out this year that I just didn't get to at the time of release. So trying to get ahead of my usual December like frantic rush to to catch up on all the new horror that I had missed throughout the year. So I'm trying to start a little bit early, start in October. I didn't bother like writing down my usual October watches because they will be watched no matter what. So if you follow me on Letterboxd, I have a list of my usual October watches. I will definitely be watching those. It'd just be redundant to list them here. So in no particular order, on my list I have a double feature of The Wolfman and Wolfman, the original from 1941 and then the remake from 2010. The latter of which I have not seen probably since it came out in 2010. And I haven't watched the OG Wolfman in a long time either. So I feel like this will be a nice preparation for Lee Winnell's Wolfman movie that comes out in January. Then I'm finally gonna check out the viral Milk and Cereal found footage movie that is on YouTube, just completely free on YouTube. For someone who is so chronically online, I'm surprised at my ability to avoid spoilers at all cost. I feel like somehow my algorithm has kind of just figured me out and is like, don't show her these things because she will just get past them. So I'm lucky to have not heard any specifics about this yet, so I get to go in still sight unseen pretty much. I've heard really good things. I know that the story is a found footage that follows a social media duo, so I feel like releasing it directly to YouTube as if it's just like from the character's YouTube page makes a lot of sense, and I really love that they just released that for free. I think that's awesome. Okay, next on my list is Slay, which came out this year. It follows a group of drag queens that accidentally find themselves performing for definitely the wrong crowd when vampires attack and they have to save the day. And this just looks so fun and so campy, and I'm here for it. And this is a Tubi original, I think. And I love that for Tubi, and that also means it's free. And I love that for me. Okay, another one on my list is Bird Eater, which my friend Rob hooked me up with. Thank you, Rob. This follows a bride-to-be that is invited to her fiance's bachelor party, which is already a bad idea in my book, but some horrifying details about their relationship are exposed and things get feral. This one I've heard is a like less you know going in the better type of movie. I've heard wild things about it. Can't wait to check it off on my watch list. I was told it's not a horror movie in the sense of like what most people think of as a horror movie. It's more like kind of like drama, thrillery, but I'm still excited to get around to it. Now, I did say that all of these were not new releases, and because I started, like, I had just planned that double feature Wolfman movie, I threw in a couple other double features. This one seems a little unhinged at first glance, but it makes sense. I want to rewatch Noroi the Curse and One Cut of the Dead. The obvious theme being Japanese horror movies. Both of these are also found footage Japanese horror movies. I personally feel like I've never gotten to watch Noroi in the right setting. So I'm making it a point for this double feature, turn out all the lights, put away my phone, like the whole 9 yards, really set myself up to scare the shit out of myself with this movie. And then if I am successful in shitting my pants, I will follow it up with One Cut of the Dead, which is a super silly, heartwarming zombie found footage movie that will hopefully help me get to sleep after Noroi. Okay, next on my list, I have The Devil's Bath, which came out this year. This is from the writing director duo of Goodnight Mommy. I think I saw a headline about this somewhere that mentioned superstitions and the oppression of women. I don't know if that's a direct quote or I'm just paraphrasing. And when I hear that, it just makes it seem like it's required viewing for me. And it also takes place in 18th century Austria, and I feel like there has to be like some folk elements in there too, maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't even seen a trailer for this, so I'm not sure. I could be lying about that. And I know I said my usual suspects were a given, but I've been talking up Tales of Halloween recently and need to make sure it gets a rewatch. It's just a super fun Halloween themed anthology with something for everyone, truly. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend for this year. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna make sure I squeeze in a watch of Oddity, which also came out this year. I'm catching up on a lot. This is a tale of revenge one woman takes when her twin sister is brutally murdered. I've heard mixed things about this one, so I'm excited to finally check it out for myself and see where I land. I will also be renewing my Max subscription just for this month so I can watch the newest adaptation of Uzumaki from Junji Ito. It's a necessity. At this point, I would do anything for Junji Ito. He is the cutest man that writes the most fucked up shit, and I love that for him. If you know nothing about the story, all I will say is that it takes place in a town that becomes possessed by spirals. You heard that correctly, and I will not elaborate. Just go watch it or read it. Definitely read it. Next on my list is Idle Hands rewatch. Halloween time is all about the scary and the fun, so I have to make sure I have a good balance of the fun and the frights. Idle Hands is pretty dumb, but it's the most fun you'll have watching a dumb movie, I swear. Like, it's just so good. And the cast is incredible. And for my final planned double feature, I have, in preparation for me being completely insufferable this December, I'm rewatching Nosferatu, the original from 1922, and then I'll be watching for the first time Nosferatu, the vampire from 1979. I love the original. It's one of my favorite OG horror movies. I've never gotten around to the 70s one, so I'm gonna make it a double feature night. All right, last two on my list here. I'm gonna be really brave and watch Infested, which came out earlier this year. I was recently on the Bloody Disgusting podcast hosted by my friend Zena, the real queen of horror, and she was talking about it, and I just want to give it a shot because spooky season is all about the scary stuff, like I said, and this will definitely scare me because this is a movie about spiders, and I hate spiders, but I'm gonna be brave. Lastly, I am being maybe controversial and watching Speak No Evil, the original. I haven't seen it yet, and honestly, despite the surprisingly good things I heard about the remake, I still need a cooling off period after the incessant playing of that trailer all year long. Honestly, like, I can't think of another trailer that played for so long ahead of the movie. So I'll get to the remake eventually. So that's what I hope to watch and read this October. Maybe if you needed some inspiration for your watch list or TBR, there you go. And of course, I want to hear what you are trying to get to in the comments below. What are you trying to read? What are you trying to watch? I will see you soon-ish with a new video. I don't know how soon because we have another hurricane coming right at us this week. So as long as the power is not out for an extended time, I'll see you soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.